Hey YouTube land, Tyconder sir, doing another action figure review, and today we're having a look at the Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Two-bad. So if you're not familiar with Two-bad is actually two individual characters that Skeletor magically merged together. So you have Tuvar, which I believe is the blue one, and Badrock, which is the purple guy, or it could be the other way around. I've never been really sure which one is which, but I think Badrock is the purple and Tuvar is the blue side. So basically, as I said, what these guys are two individual mercenaries that Skeletor had. They either failed him, depending on which story. I think they either failed him and he decided to merge them together, or they were consistently bickering with each other and Skeletor was sick of hearing them. So instead of them, so he basically merged them together, so they were stuck together and had to work together. So it is a really cool figure. So it is in the Masterverse scale, so it should be in around 7-inch, but I think he's a little taller than your average, because one side is actually slightly taller than the other side. So if I bring in his tape measure, you can see he's actually nearly 8¼ inches tall on his purple side, and then the blue side is just a hair over, nearly 7½. So for the regular sized figures, if I have one to hand, which I'm not seeing, unfortunately, it does mean he is bigger than your classics version of him. So I'll bring in a size comparison now. So this is classics version, and this guy was done in the 6.5, I would say 7-inch, yeah, 7-inch scale figure line. So this is supposedly a 7-inch figure line as well. So in theory, these guys should be around the same height. But because he's such a big character, this is one of the 7-inch McFarlane figures. You can see he towers over him, which is a kind of cool nod. He's actually quite a big figure. So for articulation, well, we'll go through accessories first. He does come with some cool accessories. He actually comes with quite a bit. So I know the classics one is missing a shield. He should have a shield, and he has this two-headed mace thing. I kind of wish they did that for this version as well. He does sort of have a two-headed weapon, but it's not that iconic mace, which I think I believe is based on the original Toys figure, or toy weapon. I do have a vintage one, which I picked up secondhand not that long ago, but it didn't have any weaponry. So he is quite articulated. He has a belt which has a holster and can store one of his accessories, which is this laser pistol. He has another storage option for one of his other accessories, which is on his back here, which is this face printed clasp, which has this double-headed axe. And what's cool is the axe also simulates his look as well. So you have a kind of cleaner side, but it's kind of broken, and then you have a normal kind of axe head, and then you see the scaling effect, which kind of simulates how he has a scaled side on his left hand side, and he's more, well, it's more muscular tone. On the classics, they didn't kind of sculpt any kind of muscular tone, they just used the basic body book. And on the original figure, it is kind of fairly plain. Now, I know there was a recent release for a Origins cartoon version of Two-bad, which is done as a Mattel exclusive. So the only way to get it was through the Mattel Creations website, and if it's sold out, I think it's probably sold out. It came up a couple of times, kind of came back into stock once or twice, but I believe it is, at the time of this recording, it is currently sold out. It might pop up back again if they make another run of them, but for the moment, as far as I'm aware, it is sold out. So he does come with that axe. As you can see, he holds it quite nicely, and then he comes with the shield. Now the shield takes a little bit of work to get on, so I'm not going to pop it off, but you have to pop the hand out and then kind of work the straps over the wrist guards and then kind of plug it back in. I don't know if it's designed more to be inclined to work with his closed fists, but if you use the punching closed fists, you don't get the option of getting him to hold his two hand weapons, which is that mace and, well, double kind of headed mace thing. It looks somewhat similar to its original counterpart, like it's a kind of a bludgeoning mace on one side, and then you have the rounded mace on the opposite side. So you do get that. So he does come packed with a good few accessories. For articulation, he is quite nicely done. He heads are on a ball joint, so they can look up, down, and kind of left to right. His both heads can kind of look up and look down. He does have ab crunch. He does have a waist swivel. His arms can go out that much and then rotate all the way around. He does have bicep swivel. He does have the double jointed elbows. He doesn't have a gauntlet swivel, even though it looks like these are separate pieces, but it doesn't have that. From the way it looks, yeah, it looks like these gauntlets are like glued in place. And then you have wrist swivel, and then I think both wrists have the same hinge on it, so they're just side to side hinges, or there's no up down, it's just a side in and out. His legs can kick forward that much. He does have a loincloth that will kind of try and get in the way. It's a little bit more of a rubbery piece, so it can be slightly moved out of the way, but it will kind of get in the way. He can get in a seated position. He can kick back. I haven't actually moved his legs that much out, but you can do the splits that much. It is slightly hindered by the hinge, or by the holster on the side. In fact, I'm going to take his pistol out and just throw it into his hand so you can see the pistol in his hand. So he does have that. That is one thing that the Classics version doesn't have. It doesn't have a pistol. Now, I don't have a 2000X version of Two-Bad, so I'm not sure if he had, because I believe some of this stuff is based on more of his concept artwork that they managed to get in. You do have the swivel at the boot cut for these, which is why I kind of thought you might have it for the wrist gauntlets, because it looks like it's the same, they're designed the same way, but you don't. You do have double jointed knees, if you can get them. They're quite tight on mine. So you have double jointed knees, you have peg holes on the feet, and you have those forward, you have a hinge on the foot, and then you have a rocker ankle as well, also on the foot. So it is kind of cool to see that one foot is barefoot, so he's kind of more monstrous on one side and slightly less on the other. His armor is a removable piece if you want to take it off him, but I don't know how easy it is to get it on and off without it getting kind of cumbersome. It is, as you can see, at a kind of slightly weird angle because it raises up, because his one side of his shoulders are slightly higher than the other because of the way he's designed, but he is quite nicely done. If I bring back in the Classics version, you can see there's a lot of similar cues from this. You have the armored gauntlets, the silver gauntlet with the blue. The blue is a much darker blue on the Classics, unless it's just faded over time on mine. You can see the dust on mine as well. So, but you can see he does have a lot more, I'm not sure if you'd call it more noticeable scaling on the side, but it is on this. This guy also has a kind of fist gauntlet kind of thing. He has knuckle dusters, or he's either wearing knuckle dusters or it is part of like an armored piece. It doesn't look like it's his hand. I think it's supposed to be part of the gauntlet, similar how he is wearing an actual boot, full boot, as opposed to has the open toe boot. So if we bring in my only other version of him, which is this one, this is the good old vintage 1984, yep, 1984 Two-bad. So this guy he still had the swinging gimmick like a lot of the figures did back in the day, but he had an additional swinging gimmick that you rotated his arm all the way around and he did like a swinging punch, or if you held him by the body, his arms would just swing forward, or you could get him, if you did it fast enough, they would punch each other in the face. which is a common thing, which is why when you're looking at these guys on the secondary market, you would see a lot of paint rub on, especially on the silver side. Probably not so much on the brown gauntlet, but on the silver, where he's punching himself in the face. Or you can do it both at the same time if you're able to, and just have him completely smack himself in the face and knock himself out. It is kind of cool. It has this kind of bleeding part where the kind of purple side is slightly bleeding over more onto his legs and onto the blue side. You don't really have that on the, well, I suppose you do have it on this version. You don't really have it on the classics. It's more of a full diagonal cut down, whereas this guy slightly has that bleed over. You don't have it on the leg, but you can see where his body is not, it's not a straight like slice or where they're joined together. So it is kind of cool to see that. You can see the armor is somewhat similar, and he's wearing that red and black waist piece. And again, just like with the classics version, this guy has a full gauntlet and he has a full boot on the purple side, as opposed to him having a barefoot. I do kind of like the barefoot idea. It kind of gives him a bit more of a monstrous look to him. Again, this guy has like purple here on his boot. I don't know if that's something, because I got this guy secondhand, I don't know if it's because his leg is made out of this purple plastic and this blue is painted on. Excuse me. It kind of looks like the wash goes over it. So I'm not sure if it's something that was added or if it's just the way he's been over time, because he kind of has it on this side as well. But it could have been something that the previous owner did with him, where they covered him with purple, because his teeth on this version also look kind of purple, but there's none of it on the body armor. So I'm not sure if it's the way it's been painted, factory painted, or something that was added after market, I suppose is the best way to put it. But all in all, the guy we're really looking at is this one, which is the Masterverse version, and he is a really cool specimen. So if you're in the market for picking up a cool version of Two-Bad, he is quite a cool figure. Even if you're looking for something to customize, I have seen people picking up this one and doing some customs out of him. I've seen people more so picking up that Origins cartoon version one and like swapping He-Man and Skeletor heads onto him, just to have like a bi-Skeletor man, or whatever you'd want to call him, a He-Skeletor, He-Kaltor, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, there is a few of those floating around as well on the internet. But all in all, I really like this guy. He's one of my favorite baddies. In fact, a lot of the Skeletor's minions are some of my favorite characters. Whiplash, Trapjaw, this guy, who else? Even though he's not Skeletor's, Mosquito is actually quite a cool one. Clawful, the more modernized look of Clawful looked better than the cartoon version, because the cartoon one looked really goofy. And I'm just trying to think who else off the top of my head. I'm sure there's others. Webster was actually a kind of cool bad villain character as well. So a lot of kind of the creature villains, even stuff like Buzz-Off for the heroes, I prefer him over some of the kind of more other guys like Stratos here, which just looks like a weird space monkey man, or flying monkey man with wings. But it is what it is. So there you go, guys. I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope you enjoyed watching this quick video review, and as always, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel and help my channel grow. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers, guys.